And now, welcome back. We engage again on Sports Check. And how about been mentioning this for the past 1 hour or so about our second interview. This is the esports, and Ronnie Lusigi. Ronnie, karibu sana, Sports Check. You know, and you're a regular here. Great to have you again, and thank you so much for honoring our invite to be here.
Yeah, thank you very much again, Bernard, for having me here. KBC has been a huge supporter of esports and the awareness sessions we've been doing, and I'm glad to be here once again to speak to you and to our audience.
Yes, indeed. And Ronnie, congratulations on your election as the new president of the Esports Federation of Kenya. What's up in your sleeve?
Thank you very much, Bernard. Yes, indeed, we did work hard to take the leadership of the federation, and together with my other 8 National Executive Committee members, we are very grateful to the Esports Kenya fraternity for believing in us, for believing in our vision, and also for conducting themselves in decorum. Because when such things happen, it's the sport that has won. It is esports that has won. So up our sleeves, first of all, of course, is consulting with all stakeholders, consulting also with policy makers, because you know esports with its nature, touching on ICT a bit, we need to consult also with the policy makers just for them to understand what we are doing, and consultation with the stakeholders within the esports space. Those are the players. That's why in our National Executive Committee we have athlete representative. Those are the esports clubs in our country, just to ensure that they are also in line with the regulations of registering sports clubs in our country. Those are esports tournament organizers. I've been a tournament organizer for 2.5 years. It's also just to protect those tournament organizers and to give them an enabling environment for them to organize these tournaments, but also to ensure they do that within the precepts of the law that we are accustomed to, and just to generally protect the entire space and to offer an enabling environment. Our focus, although we are a governing body, our focus is not on governing. Our focus is on facilitating the space to grow, to have the enabling environment for esports to thrive in Kenya.
Yeah. And talked about the policy making. Has the players, you know, the game out, is it outrunning the policy makers? Who is faster? Who is moving faster?
I'd say esports is a fast-paced sport, as you've said, being digitally centered. I'd say we need to catch up. We need to catch up and to come up with mechanisms that ensure the policies that we put in place are not policies that are cast in stone. They are policies that move with time. They adapt the constant movement and advancement of esports as a sport. So for us, as you've said, I just say the players are moving quicker, and now the challenge is on us to find a way that we can facilitate them to move even quicker. As I've said, our focus is being an enabler. So how can we enable them to move even faster than they are moving right now?
And the greatest strides that the sport has taken maybe in the last 1 or 2 years, you know, Kenya, the team going to the Commonwealth Games, it was an exhibition event, but still it was a huge milestone for the sport.
Yes. From a Kenyan perspective, I can only say the present and the future looks bright, and I think things will get brighter. You've mentioned rightly so. We sent a team to the Commonwealth Esports Championship in Birmingham last year. We sent a team to Istanbul for the Global Esports Games.
Yes.
We sent gamers to Lagos for the African Championship. We've sent Eric Dimon, to France now twice. Last week he was able to come out on top of the Maison du Monde Cup in Paris. We've had one of our gamer, Mikey, play in Romania just in July. He was able to finish in the first 32, and it shows you that the potential is there, and the space is also opening up. We are seeing more and more international organizations organize Pan-African and international events. So the number of tournaments are also coming up thick and fast. And then I say align, that's why we need to align. We need to start preparations. As we speak today, in December, we have the World Championship in Saudi Arabia. So the National Executive Committee will be meeting tomorrow morning, just to set up an organizing committee to ensure that for these 2.5 months, they can look at after the issues of player welfare, player preparation, and just to ensure that the country is represented in the best way possible.
And what has been the catalyst for Kenyan gamers recently in the championship that you've mentioned, the tournaments that they've participated? You know, like they're hungry, they're out there looking out, or where can we go? How, you know, I remember when you did the trials for, you were selecting a team to go to a championship in France, the Ligue 1, right? And there was a huge number of entrants at Alliance Francaise. I mean, what would you say has been the catalyst for the interest of the sport?
I think the video gaming is part and parcel of our Kenyan culture. And then being the tech capital of Africa, you'll expect that everything digital will excite the youth in Kenya. So the hunger you are seeing there is because we've had a strong video gaming culture that gave birth to now competitive gamers in the esports space. And what has been lacking has been the opportunity. That is why anytime you hear there's a competition, you'll see that huge turnout. Because we've had, even myself, I'm not that old, I'm only 28, but if I could have gotten these opportunities 8 years ago, I will definitely be representing the country. So we have a huge talent pool, and now since the opportunities are opening up, that's why you're seeing people come out harder, people train harder. The competition is very, very stiff. Somebody may be number 1 today. In December, things have changed. They are number 10. So you are seeing that hunger because it is opportunity that was lacking. And we have a huge video gaming culture. I'm sure where you stay, in every middle income and even low income community society in Kenya, you barely walk 400 meters without meeting a small video gaming shop. If you observe in the matatu, you'll see people playing video games on their phones. So Kenya already has a huge video gaming culture. And that's why I reiterate that our role, our biggest role as a federation right now is to set that enabling environment, that foundation that can help us transit, because eSport is about now transiting people from casual gamers to competitive gamers. So we have a huge video gaming culture, and now opportunities are coming up. You will continue to see, you've not seen anything yet. You'll continue to see bigger and bigger crowds turn up for these tournaments.
So wale wasioto walikuwa wanacheza Tekken, they can now become, they can take on combat and play FIFA, right?
Yeah, sure. Everyone who's talented out there should just check out. We'll also up our game in terms of communication to ensure we speak to the youth, we find the youth where they are and speak to them about this video gaming culture. And I'll also mention to you that the spectator side of this sport is also huge. You've mentioned the Ligue 1 competition that was held in Alliance Francaise, and checking our TikTok this morning, the final itself was viewed by over 190,000 people on TikTok. So you see, if you are a marketer, if you are a corporate looking to speak to the youth, looking for eyeballs, that is the place you have to go to. Apart from playing, they are also watching a lot of this video gaming action, and it goes back to the same as the competitive side. There's been a hunger for them to watch local esports content, and now also part of our agenda now is to facilitate the growth of production of esports content as a spectator event, so that both in-house and those streaming online can be able to enjoy this sport wherever they are enjoying it from.
And of course, you mentioned about the Kenya, Nairobi being the tech hub, you know, the tech capital of the continent. How has this played to the advantage of the gamers? So you can talk about the opportunity that lie therein for those who are still looking for them.
Yeah, I'd say that goes down to issues like the digital infrastructure in our country. You see with the 5G, of course, right now it's in over 20 counties, but of course, there are selected hubs, but you'll see that in Nairobi it's more prominent. So I think the digital infrastructure in Nairobi has been improving, but now we need to take it a notch higher, because good connectivity alone is not enough. In video gaming, you speak of things like servers. We don't have servers in Africa. A few of them are in South Africa. And now it's for us to work in tandem with the Nairobi County government and the Ministry of Sport and Ministry of ICT to be able to promote Kenya as that destination that people can set up servers, having partnership with the telcos and the people setting up data centers. Because when you have servers here, it makes it easier for our competitors to compete in the online competitions, because right now we are doing well, but we are doing well only in competitions that allow us to travel to those countries. But sometimes you find that the qualification path to some of these competitions starts online. And when it's online, and we don't have servers in our region, it means we play at a disadvantage. So us will be to work with the national and the county governments to promote Kenya as that destination that you can set up servers, to help understand the policies that the Ministry of ICT has placed there, to try and even incentivize, because you already have people like Microsoft, you already have the big tech giants picking Nairobi as their go-to place. So we can also extend that now to video gaming and see that we promote and invite the big video game publishers and developers to set up place here in Nairobi. Because when you have the server here, it will make it easier for us to host international events. It will also increase the demand because more people will be playing international competitions. It means more demand for video gaming equipment. It means more demand for smartphones, PlayStations, and consoles. It means more demand for the telcos in terms of data bundles and what have you. So it's a cycle, and I think we should really work hard in that space. Yeah.
And of course, recently the president was in the US and did meet some of the tech giants and the policy makers, those who decide on behalf of the world. So we hope that that will translate to ease your, for the game to grow. But now, looking at the federation, because one has to have his own console, one has to start on their own. How does the federation play its role there, coming in?
Yeah, and just to pick in from where you started, it's very important to have the support of the national leadership in anything you do. You can see that translate very well, of course, in the AFCON bid, because as compared to our previous bids, we had a bid that the president was pushing. So I'm happy because at the launch of Talanta Hela, I had the Prime Cabinet Secretary spare 2 minutes to talk about esports.
Yes.
So I hope that...
What did catch your eye or your ear in what he said during the 2 minutes?
During the 2 minutes, I was happy that he was calling on the Ministry of Sports to open the door and to listen and to have a keen focus on esports.
And when he says open the door, what did he mean as esports? What's he saying?
I think we'll have to try and find him and help him ask for a cup of tea with him. Of course, now he also has the Foreign Affairs Ministry, which means it helps us in our bid also to use esports in terms of cultural integration, like was being done in France. But it's really important even for the investors' confidence when they see that the national leadership of a country is supporting digital advancement and specifically esports. Back to where you've talked about the consoles, and I think those are 3 key issues we are looking at: accessibility, affordability, and connectivity. We are doing quite well in terms of connectivity. We need to look at accessibility and affordability. And this is why, Bernard, we call it e-sport. It's electronic sport. And one thing that sport does very well is bring people together. When you speak about soccer, you never speak about everyone having a soccer ball in their home.
Yes.
But you speak about us having spaces that can bring people together to play soccer, or us having spaces that can bring people together to play basketball.
Yes.
So also as a federation, that is the power we want to tap into, because we know the issue of everyone having their console or everyone having their machine, their PC, is a long shot. But what we want to do is to work with social and corporate partners to have many more centers of excellence where people can come and play at a very affordable, if possible even free, in this video gaming activity. Because it's about bringing people together. It's a sport because people compete. It's a sport because people do it now as a team, electronic sport. So it's not... Our focus is not on seeing everyone have their own console. Our focus is on seeing that we have an environment where we have centers closer to the youth, where they can come and tap into their talent. Because one of the challenges we have right now is that the centers that have video gaming shops in the country, and you can't blame them, those are commercial premises.
Yeah, private
They need
owned.
to look after their rent.
Yes.
They need to look after their tax. So if you just start telling them we want to use this space to grow esports, they tell you, hey, wait a minute. If this will interfere with my collection of revenue, I am having none of it. So that is why, as a federation, it is our intention to come up with these spaces where the first focus will be talent development. So if you work with county governments, for example, and you have a premise for free, it means that you have eliminated the burden of rent. And what could have been paid in rent is now being used for talent development. When you work with telcos to give you dedicated internet offers, you have eliminated that cost. When you work with manufacturers of these machines or TV companies to donate to you a few in these centers, this is what we are now calling strategic partnerships that can help us first in kind, so that we have this equipment, we have these spaces, so that when these young people come to play, they are not having that pressure that I have 20 more minutes to go. I need to finish.
My money is running out.
My time is running out. I've only paid 200 for an hour. We want them to be able to come to a place where you can concentrate on playing and not watching your clock.
And of course, we look at this with, the Ministry of ICT has been touring various parts of the country, establishing hubs, and maybe is this an option that maybe you're exploring too?
Yes, exactly. And just go back to the remarks we made when we were elected 2 weeks ago, that we shall seek strategic partnerships with related ministries. And top of that agenda, of course, we are under the Ministry of Sport. It will be the Ministry of Sport, because they facilitated us to align with the Sports Act that enabled us to do the election, and now we are eligible, like any other federation, even for opportunities like Sports Fund and so forth. We also have now the Ministry of ICT, which comes in mind, as you've said. They are opening digital hubs. How do you use video gaming and the passion it has among the gamers to leverage on that? We also have the Ministry of Education, who have co-curricular activities. How do we leverage on the popularity of video gaming to have esports competitions in schools, in universities? How do we also leverage on what the skills that come out of playing video gaming to contribute to the development of STEM courses? Now we are seeing people being taught coding in school, programming. These are skills that are developed very much in video gaming. How do we liaise with the Ministry of Education to ensure that, like in other countries, we are able to use it? I'd mentioned to you in Stanford, they are developing vaccines using the puzzle-solving skills of video gaming. So they have a game called Etana, where if top video gamers come and play, they use some of the puzzle-solving skills to give them vaccines. We are also looking at even the Ministry of Security, things like Interior and the Army. It's being used in other countries. They've been recruiting people because they are good footballers, because they are strong, they are fast.
Good athletes.
Yes. Let them now remember we have digital advancement. Them themselves are buying now digital equipment. The drone, they are dealing with cyber security. These digital know-how skills are found in esports. So they should also now, as they are looking at athlete and physical prowess, they should also look at digital prowess. And where do we find it? You can find it here in esport, and take these people in esport also, train them, leverage on their digital skills, and recruit them to your army, recruit them to your police. And they also run. They also do physical exercise. The team that went to Istanbul in December, one of them is a basketball player at Kenyatta University. Another one is a football player down here in Isili. So it's not this notion that video gamers are people who just sit down. So apart from the physical prowess, let's also tap into the digital prowess to deal with this thing. People started things like Zoom during COVID. As we've been holding these things, digital games, having a digital community across the world, way behind that. So we should tap into this.
And also at the same time, during that COVID time, we also saw games like chess being played on virtually.
Exactly.
And now AI is a big interest for everyone. So, I mean, these are the areas that, as you mentioned, what sleeps over from just playing. These are the areas that will definitely benefit from video gaming if it's hugely supported by relevant authorities, and also if it keeps on growing, right?
Sure.
I mean, and also maybe you can talk about the tournament that was in France, where the Coupe du Monde in Paris, where Demon did so well and did win. This just we undoubtedly talks about the quality of the video gamers that we have in the country.
Yes, it talks about the quality, and it talks about the value of partnerships. I'll start by mentioning that we really appreciate the French Embassy in Kenya, because all of this was facilitated by the French Embassy in Kenya. They took a team of an esports delegation of 6 of us. Of course, Eric Demon was going to play, and which he played and won well. But we are also there with other people from the video gaming community, and we were able to network with the people in the French esports community, the French Esports Association. We were able to network with other Africans who were there, because we had 34 African countries there. And so, of course, our player did well, and we are happy because Eric Demon has been growing so much in stature. He finished second in the African Championships back in June, and to see him now go and take it a notch higher and win the competition in France was a really heartwarming experience for us. And also just to praise the competition, because they have the aspect of cultural integration, because now it was a 2v2, and each African player was teaming up with a French player. It shows you that esports can also be used as a form of integration to have that cultural exchange, to promote harmony in the society and in the world at large. So the Creative Africa Forum was a very good initiative, and to see our esports player win. And also beyond that, we also had people in the video game development community who also won awards. We have this Maasai adventure video game known as Hero. It was also top. It also won an award as the best video game developed among those who were competing there. So it was a good experience, and we did shine in the video gaming side, we did shine in the video game development side, and we can only say thank you, and also just to invite more partners who have such kind of partnerships, to tell them that the door of the Federation is open. We are looking for as many opportunities as possible to expose our talents to the international market.
And of course, Kenya did beat the African opponents like Nigeria, Senegal in the final, right? As well as Cote d'Ivoire. I mean, looking at how do we rank, I know Demon won, but what would you say about the steps that have been made to grow the sport compared to how it's being developed back here?
Yeah, I'd say the African market in terms of esports is now quite open, and there is a really big need for us to harmonize our competitions so that we can have a proper ranking system. Because as you've asked me rightfully so, it's now hard to rank a player unless when you use competition. But because there are many different competitions, there is need for us to harmonize our competitions and not reduce them, but to organize them where we can say now we have 8 African circuits. The same way it happens in tennis or in rally championship. So we can say out of these 8 circuits is what we'll use for ranking. So that we can say the good work being done by Gamer X in Nigeria becomes one circuit. The good work being done by Feja in Ivory Coast is also a competition. It becomes part of the circuit. You go down to South Africa and you say one competition in South Africa will be part of the circuit. You come to East Africa and say you'll also be hosting one Pan-African competition, making it part of the circuit. You go up to North Africa, Morocco, Egypt. So I think there's need for us to harmonize this, and already plans are going around that side. Many of the African federations are now coming together to have an African confederation around esports and to harmonize all that. So we look forward to those brighter days that we'll see the esports circuit in Africa formalized and used for ranking. And as we look towards outward, back here, I know this has been key to your drive, to one of your main agenda is to spread the game to all the genders in the country, to all the genders, right? How are you going to approach in encouraging female gamers to the sport? Yeah, you mentioned an important thing, and I'd like you to know, Bernard, that the most illustrious, the most decorated Kenyan gamer, and I dare say even African gamer, is a lady from Kenya. Her name is Sylvia Gadoni, popularly known as Queen Arrow.
Yes.
So it already shows you that our ladies, our girls, our women can play. However, we do have a challenge in terms of the environment. And it goes back to what I've said from the beginning. We need to create an enabling environment for everyone, irregardless of their gender, irregardless of their race, irregardless of their religion, to thrive. So yes, we do have a big challenge when it comes to the gender divide, but this challenge is only in competitive sport, video gaming, esport. If you go to the casual video gaming, lots of girls are playing. So the onus is on us right now to make the environment for esports, the competitive side of video gaming, conducive for the fair gender to join us, conducive for the ladies and women to feel onboarded. So as part of what I've said, our first month is really based on consultation. We shall be consulting a lot for us to see what avenues do we look at. Is it creating female-only events? Is it sticking with mixed events? Is it including having a more gender balance even in our leadership, in our decision-making panels? So this is a discussion that we are very keen on, because gender balance is very, very important. And we shall consult, especially with people like Queen Arrow and we even have a team of 6 who are going to Saudi Arabia for the World Championship. They play in Dota 2. Actually, it's their second World Championship. They're back-to-back African representatives. They beat Namibia recently to earn that slot to go and play in Dota 2. So there is a need, and that's an area of concern, and it's an area we are showing a much seriousness is it. That is even why when we are reconstituting our federation, we say that in our vice president's position, it must be across the 2 genders.
Yes.
So I think, Bernard, that's a huge challenge. But with partners like the media, the corporate and social institutions, we believe we shall be able to bridge this gap in terms of including the female gamers.
And now, and also maybe to the few who've turned up, into the sport, how do you retain them?
Basically, it's looking at the issues of welfare and also giving them purpose. Bernard, playing alone is not everything. We should use and leverage this popularity that these young people, these young ladies that in particular, and tie them to social activities. Help them come up as mentors. Help them use their popularity and leverage on it to promote things like mental health. Help them become people involved in vital societal discussions, leveraging on their popularity to have them as youth ambassadors in various issues affecting our society. It can be issues to do with drug abuse, can be issues to do with alcohol, with crime rates and what have you. So for us, the best way we believe to retain them is to have them more active beyond the playing, and also to have them more involved in our decision making.
And like Queen Arrow, how can she be? She's the poster girl for the sport in the continent, right? And how does the federation leverage on her popularity now?
Yes, already Queen Arrow even sits in the board for the Global Esports Federation, in the athletes board. And for us, it's just to use her as a model, as you've said, as a motivator to everyone, not just to young girls, but even to young boys, to show them that it can be done, it is possible. And one thing I like about her is the aspect of education, how she has been able to do all this and also check on her education. Because as we speak right now, she's a law graduate. So you see, she's been able to have a very illustrious esports career, but also check on her education side. So when you say we put her in the spotlight, is to teach young people that you can play these video games and you can also be strong in your education, so that you have that right balance. So that can be a huge motivator, because now we see in the West especially, people having esports scholarships, where if you are good in esports and you are good in your education, you can be able to get those scholarships. So she serves as an example to show people that, one, it can be done. It can be done with little resources. Queen Arrow has done this almost all out of her pocket. It can be done with resilience and determination, because she's been there for a while right now, despite the challenges she's faced. And with determination, everything really is possible, Bernard.
Yes, indeed. We're speaking to Ronnie Lusigi, the Esports Federation of Kenya president, and Ronnie recently elected, so he has a lot, in your entry, as the saying goes. But again, the immediate stuff the immediate work that lies ahead is making sure that now there are more demons, there are more Queen Arrows, and not just in Nairobi, but the rest of the country. What are the potential towns, immediate centers that could be the next hotbed of such talent?
I'd say apart from Nairobi, Mombasa is coming up very, very well. We have video game tournament organizers I'd like to mention, Tuntigi, Gamers Vault, who are growing that space in Mombasa. We also had a discussion with the county government of Nakuru, who visited us in February, to see how Nakuru, being the youngest city, can also tap into this young sport. So I think as we focus on making it a truly national sport, we will of course start with these urban centers like Mombasa, Nakuru, Kisumu, Eldoret. Eldoret is also doing well in terms of competitions, but that is the importance that we say we have to create a national circuit that can be able to balance this out and to grow the talent pool. As I've said, we already have a huge video gaming culture. We just need to move these people from casual video gaming to competitive gamers. So we are looking to really work in tandem with county governments and the Ministry of Sport to take this sport to the grassroots as much as you can.
Yeah. And the video game developers, how should they, what kind of incentives should they receive to encourage them?
Yeah, the video game developers are doing very well, and us as the Esports Federation, the much we can do is to showcase their games. Whenever we have events, we should be able to bring them there, have their games as exhibition games by the side, because we have two clusters of video games. We have casual games and we have competitive titles. For example, the game I was mentioning here is a good casual game, adventure game. So us as a federation, what we can only do right now is to amplify the work that they're doing and to connect them now to other video game publishers who we are in contact with, so that they can have that capacity building, that networking, so that hopefully in the future Kenya will have world-beating competitive video gaming titles. Yeah.
And of course the Ministry of ICT needs to come in fast, lest they get outrun by the video gamers.
Yeah, sure. It's a blend between the Ministry of ICT, the Ministry of Education, and the Ministry of Sport, just to ensure, because video game developing is much of ICT and education, but just to ensure that we have this seamless working relationship, so that what these good people are doing in the universities, more and more universities are offering opportunities now for video game developers, but it ties up to what I also said about scholarships. How do we connect our video game developers to go and study in advanced video game developing markets, like where the president was in the Silicon Valley, or he was speaking of China, he was speaking of South Korea, speaking of Japan. How do we leverage the popularity of esports to showcase them? And that's why we say hosting of international competitions, because the model of international competitions is, apart from the competition, you also showcase what you are doing. So when you have these international competitions, you'll have people from abroad coming into the country and seeing the good work that video game developers are really doing.
Yes, indeed. And that will, I mean, and also, like we talked about some of the spin-offs from gaming, right? And we're talking about the coders, and this will basically put the players as in your first like the first generation of coders, and this what kind of opportunity does this present to the young ones who are taking this particular sport seriously?
Yes, Bernard, in every sport, because I also have a little background in soccer, in every sport, it's only nearly 1% that make it professional and become the big players. So the question becomes, what happens to the other 99%? And that is why what you're saying is important. We need to develop these other transferable skills from esports and any other sport there is. Esports helps them develop leadership skills. It helps them develop communication, teamwork, and digital literacy, where you are going to. Because we should leverage now on the power of video gaming and esport to encourage more of them to use what the skills they are learning to the STEM-related courses in our schools, in our institutions, to encourage most of them to use these digital skills to become problem solvers in the community. I tell you, you walk into the low-income society, in neighborhoods in Nairobi, and you'll be amazed at how people are improving outdated gadgets and using them to play video gaming. It shows you that there's a lot of digital skills that is there. Recently, we were in a Safaricom Engineering Summit, and we're just be able to see how the next generation of digital engineers will come out of video gaming. So for us, it's just to work on the messaging to tell our young people early on that don't just focus on playing this video game. Focus also on what you get from playing this video game, and use those skills in education, use them in the society to help us have a better nation.
And also the threat of the cyber security and how to combat all that. What's the Federation's role, and how have you come out for this?
Yes, it goes back to what we've said on consultation, because part of our job is to create that awareness. So when we say we want to work with the Ministry of Education, that is part of it. We need to leverage on the place of our schools and the connection they have with the family unit to educate the parents on video gaming. One, educate the parents on age rating of these games. You may be a parent who just want to support your kid. He or she tells you, go and buy me this game, daddy, go and buy me this game, mommy. But you need to, as a parent, check what is the age rating of this game. Is it E for everyone? Is it 13 plus? Is it 15 plus? Secondly, is also to educate the parents on things like hours. How many hours do you allow your child to play? How do you support them to play in a more healthy environment, that their nutrition is right, that they're taking water when playing to be hydrated. that they are doing the right posture. How also, as you mentioned, cyber security. How also do the parents participate in this activity to ensure that the online communities that their children are being involved in are safe spaces, are safe communities. How do we develop even a hotline to report these cybersecurity threats that may face the kids? It even goes back to payment systems, because most of the video gaming goes through online microtransactions. We should be able to educate and give parents awareness so that they don't end up seeing their credit card being used in payments they are not even aware of. So there's a huge opportunity and responsibility for us to work with the Ministry of Education and through them to get to the parents and the family units to ensure that the awareness in terms of which online communities your child should be playing with, and also to leverage on the knowledge of the video gamers. Because us as a leadership, our work is only to offer the enabling environment, but the video gamers are the real experts. They are the people with the know-how. So it's to work with them and the Ministry of Education to get to the family unit and the parents so that we can create more awareness on what games should your child be playing and what online communities should your child be keeping, and how do you regulate in a healthy way what your child is doing online.
Yes, and of course, just like any other sport, it has to have a pool of, like how you get your players into, how you spot your talents, how you spot the future stars or the players who will take the game forward tomorrow. And you talked about the national circuit. Is it the same as the league? This will be the esports league?
Yes, we intend to have two tiers. You should have the amateur tier and the pro tier. So the esports league may start with the pro tier, where you are going for the already established players, but we also have an amateur tier. This amateur tier now becomes a national circuit where you're able to spot this talent. Hopefully, with partnership with the Ministry of Education, if you can get esports now to our schools, it also becomes another area to tap into the talent pool. Another area to also grow awareness on how to identify and how to develop talent. The same way teachers are taught how to identify and develop talent in athletics, in soccer, we also need to teach our teachers how they can also tap and develop the talent in esports. So we are looking at the school system strongly, but also we work with partners to have an amateur league and of course a pro league. And a pro league comes with a lot of consultation. There are very many video gaming titles, but for a start we need to have a few that will be the model and grow that package, make it a financially sustainable league. We don't want to have a league where we'll every time be begging for money. We want to start small and start lean and grow it as a product. We want to incorporate experts in marketing, in competitions management, so that we can grow our competitions as a product, and going on it can be able to drive more revenue, and more revenue means more for the video gamers, the athletes.
And maybe you can talk about the talents that have come through, for instance, Queen Arrow or even Demon, and how they've pushed the levels of the game to the next level.
Yes, when you have talents from your country going international, it helps in spotlighting your country. Queen Arrow has put Kenya on the video gaming map because you've seen BBC, CNN, all these huge multinational media entities focusing on Kenya. What Demon is doing is also putting Kenya on that map. You see, Queen Arrow is the first Kenyan player to be signed by an international esports team. That shows you that it goes out there to show that there is talent in Kenya, and we need to manufacture more and more. We have a very good lady known as Ndirangu, Shali Ndirangu. She came second in the Afro-Arab Esports Championship held in Saudi Arabia just recently in e-football game. She also happens to, at a part-time, be a referee. She's a lineswoman in the third tier of Kenyan football. Just showing you, just showing you how multi-talented our video gamers are. So you can see people like Shali Ndirangu, aka Tinto, people like Queen Arrow, people like Demon, people like there was also Harry Kappa, who was in the Afro-Arab Championship. Of course, our daughter two ladies, people like Elias Onchari, who went for the Commonwealth Sports Championship, Maina Evander, who was in Istanbul, to mention just but a few. Of course, there are many. Our daughter two team, Shali, Maush, Sandra, Yvonne Katha, Purity, and their coach, of course, never forget their coach, Alan Saj, who is doing also a very wonderful job. So we have a plethora of talents, and as a federation, you'll see in the next year us sending more and more people to international competitions. It may have crossed you that this weekend the president of the International Olympic Committee himself said they are now in a position where they are convinced they are exploring having Olympic esports games. Last 3 months in Singapore, they hosted an Olympic esports series week, which was an exhibition event for esports done by the International Olympic Committee. Before that, they had a virtual Olympic series. So it shows you where we are going. The Asian Games already have esports as a medal event. We are hearing that the March 2024 All-African Games may also have esports as an exhibition event. But it just shows you the route that we are going. And for us, what you've seen with these talents you've mentioned, I want to tell you there are many more coming.
Yes.
There are many more coming.
And of course, we talked about them and, for instance, them being referees or actively being in sport. This just gives them an edge, right?
Yeah, it gives them an edge because when you are involved actively in physical sport and you also play in video gaming, it helps you. You have more back strength because you spend more hours seated. You need to exercise so that your back is stronger. You need to exercise so that your wrists are also stronger. And in general, sometimes, Bernard, you know as a journalist, sometimes you are seated that you even feel your legs being numb. So there's a lot of value in a video gamer taking up physical exercise. And that is part of the awareness drive that we shall be doing as a federation, teaching these video gamers the value of exercise and how it makes you better as a player.
And of course, let's talk about what lies ahead. I mean, after the Commonwealth Games and the exhibition, it looks like it did create a whole of interest for every championship, every global championship, talking about the Olympics now running a trial event for the same. Commonwealth, definitely in the next edition of the Games, they'll be having it as a proper sport, right? And in Africa as well. What does it say about the level of this particular sport? It's the new one and everybody's now jumping on it.
Yes, it shows you that the misconception that esports is a rival to traditional sport is wrong. Because esports is an enabler of traditional sport. If we are now angling for the attention of a 4-year-old kid. You are in basketball, I am in soccer, another one is in rally. Video gaming may be the first entry point of this young person. If he starts playing basketball games and goes to school, he may be interested in basketball. If she starts playing soccer games and goes to school, the first thing they'll see is the game I normally play is now in the field. So it shows you the value of that. Of course, Asia has always been ahead when it comes to this matter. As I've said, this year the Asian Games had esports as a proper medal event. The previous one had it as an exhibition event. We've said Commonwealth already has had it as an exhibition event. Olympics has tested with the Olympic esports series, and the President Thomas Bach is on record on Sunday speaking from Mumbai, saying they are contemplating to establish the Olympic esports games. We'll also now have the All-African Games, which we may have that possibility, and it ties to what I've said as partnerships. One of our immediate task right now as a federation is to get in touch with the National Olympic Committee. We know we've had that challenge that to be a member of NOC, you must be an Olympic sport. But being that now already Olympics is trialing with esport, I think it will be important for us to be a member of NOC, so that when they coming up with these competitions, we have an African perspective. Because it's important to mention, when they did the Olympic esports series in Singapore, the African representation was close to nil. So it really needs to be global in this representation, and our route to contributing to what the Olympic movement is doing is by us joining the National Olympic Committee. And you know the National Olympic Committee in Kenya has strong standing internationally.
Because of Kenya's performance in Olympics.
Because of Kenya's performance. And to leverage on the good work they are doing, they are being led by President Paul Tergat and SG Francis Mutuku.
Yes, indeed. Speaking to Ronnie Lusigi. So Ronnie, you said that there are three things: accessibility, affordability, and connectivity. Thank you so much, Ronnie, for gracing Sports Check today. And Ronnie is the president of the Esports Federation of Kenya, and has been speaking about the steps that the sport is easily and slowly taking so as to be, to reach the global levels, and also for Kenyan players to shine on the global stage. And that's how we leave it on Sports Check today. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Bernardo Kumo. Stay tuned on KBC Channel 1, and see you next time.
Kwa sawa tumepiga fiti.